Hello, hello, and welcome to day 14 of the Unity Game Development Journal. And this is the 2 week mark for this game development. So, 2 weeks in, things are going really, really well. Getting some scripts written, coded up there, and getting some artwork done with the character and such, meeting a lot of cool people along the way, making connections on art and sound and all that kind of stuff, trying to put together a little team to do that kind of thing. Still work in progress on that side, getting everyone to get everyone's schedules to sort of align, but that's moving forward, so that's cool. That's sort of the businessy side of things, or the I guess the coordination side, not really business because this isn't a business yet, but coordination side of things. Um, on my end today, I completed the frames here, the sprites for the main character lifting action. So that completes walking, attacking, lifting, damage, and poses. So all of those actions are completely animated now. I have one more sheet to do that I know about that I have planned is the pushing sheet because I want that to be a mechanic, is the character to be able to push things around. So once that's done, then the main character animations are complete. So I think one more week or less, and then that will be done. So very excited there. Obviously, that's just the beginning. There's a lot of animations for other characters, but they're not going to be as in-depth as this character was. And maybe I'm going to add some more to this character as well. So let's just see if I can turn off the, I don't know why it's, here's view. We'll turn off extras and we'll just come in here for the real thing. So there you go. It's sort of nice character. The proportions are good for the type of game that I'm designing. You can design a game for pretty much any proportion of character that you have. It's very easy. You just have to sort of work around the requirements of that character design. For the type of game that I want to do, this character design works very well, especially for a game that has a small development team. I don't want to have to do a lot of extra things, so whatever I can do to make things easier, the better. So that's why this character is sort of condensed in its size, more boxy. That way, a lot of the animation physics and attacking stuff, it just works with the colliders and things like that. So that's sort of why the character is this size, if anyone wanted to know. But yeah, you could design a character to be anything you really want. I did, if you remember from the first week's video, I had a character that was much taller. And it ended up causing a little bit of issues that I probably could have solved, but I didn't really like the direction it was going. So that's why it changed to a more boxy character. So there you go. That's the philosophy behind that. I didn't do much coding, if any, today because what I did instead was develop out a game design document, which is an extremely important document. If you're in business or starting a web application like a startup company or anything like that, I've done this stuff in the past and it's very useful to have some sort of a design spec or a project spec or something in place. Now, games are really not that different from that, but they are a little bit. So instead of doing a specific spec that you would have specific features that you would test against potential customers and things like that, games are more of a design document. And it's very important to do one early on because especially if you have more than one person on the development team like I do, I wanted to make sure that what I was thinking and what Joseph was thinking and any future people that might join the team, when they come on board and when we're all discussing, we want to have a centralized idea that we're all working towards. And it's one thing to chat back and forth, which is what we have been doing. But it's also very important to get down in writing in very clear language what the game will do, what has to be done to get the game finished, and that type of thing. So this is what I worked on today. This is not a full document on everything, but it outlines everything we've talked about so far for what the game will be, and some things just as a to-do list for what I have to do development-wise to get all the pieces ready before we can actually design the gameplay, which before we can actually do game design, we need to build the pieces. In order to build the pieces, I need to know what I need, what types of pieces I need for the game we want to build. So this is sort of the process that I'm going through here. So I'd like to just share the design document with you. I had a conversation earlier with Joseph, and we went through everything that's written here, so we're all sort of on the same page. And for the most part, this is what we want. It could change here and there as we go through, depending on how much time we have to do certain features. But let's just read through and describe the actual game we want to build. So the game is going to be an RPG action adventure. So there's different types of RPG games, and RPG is sort of a hard genre to really narrow down on what an RPG is. Lots of YouTube videos out there trying to explain it, so it's sort of fun to think about it as a topic or a genre of a game. But anyways, I'm going to describe what this game is going to be. It's going to be played as a character who progresses in strength and ability as you play. The game will follow a main in-depth storyline as the core adventure, which is the adventure part of the title there. But we will give the player a choice to participate in side quests which act as mini games to help progress their character stats. So as in many games out there, there's going to be a main adventure that you're traveling on, and then there's going to be side quests that you can go to expand the gameplay out more. Now, the side quests, from right now, we're hoping that they're going to be small, little, tiny things that you can do. They're not going to be long, never-ending quests. They're going to be small things you can do to help out different NPCs or things like that, or do little mini games, or, we'll come up with those things separately, but that's going to be a part of the game. And those mini quests are also going to help progress the character's stats, like all the different stats that your character will have, like strength, intelligence, wisdom, charisma, all these types of things. I don't know all of them that's going to be placed onto the character, but that's how we're going to progress those stats. So the action of this game is going to be a real-time fighting game, meaning that you're going to be fighting as you move through the world. It's not going to be a discovery or turn-based combat system, similar to Final Fantasy or Pokemon or anything like that, where you actually come across things and then you fight them in a turn-based style, or it's sort of like a cutscene of fighting. This is going to be more like the games out there where you come across, you see an enemy, you can decide to approach them and fight them, or you can decide to avoid them, or just go in the opposite direction, or maybe the enemy is out of range and doesn't actually attack you. So that's the real-time fighting aspect. It's going to be you can make a decision whether you want to approach and fight the enemy if you want, or if you're losing, you can run away, and it's just real-time. So that's the type of RPG action adventure game that this game will be. Now, we're going to have multi-typed side quests, meaning that the game should have many side quests apart from the main story, but the side quests should be made up of as many different types of quests as feasible to develop, such as collecting a number of items, or finding a specific item, or saving a person, or solving a puzzle to unlock a path, or something along those lines. Those are a few ideas. Or to put some requirements on a certain quest, such as you can only defeat this boss or something with a sword. Instead of using multiple weapons or multiple inventory, you can only take this one thing, or you can't use a weapon while you're inside this village or something. Those types of quests are sort of fun to do. And also time-based quests are really cool. So if development time is allowing a time-based structure where we have day-night cycles maybe, then those types of quests would be awesome to do. So that's sort of the hopes and dreams of the side quests. Part of a universe, not the center of it. So one of the things we're going to do is have the universe not centered around the player, so everything is related to the player. Instead, we want the player traveling through the universe. Now, this is probably the hardest point to do, and this is sort of a dream that I'd like the game to have a part of it, but it may be too difficult to do at this time. But essentially what it means is things could be time-based, or have the NPCs have an agenda of their own, and it's sort of not connected directly to the player. So if the player doesn't interact with that NPC, they still accomplish their end goal, which may affect the game in some way. Or if that NPC is interacted by interacts with the player in any way, and the player changes what that NPC was going to do, then that would also change the game. So it just allows the universe to be a living being all on its own, without the need for the player to directly affect every single change in the game. So sort of an interesting concept that I'd like to try and pull off. We'll see if I can do that. Another thing is not typical enemies, just NPCs, so non-player characters. So in a lot of games out there, you walk around and you'll see like the enemy guard or the enemy creature, and when you come across those things attack you, and it's throughout the entire game that is sort of the enemy. You know who the enemy is, which is important to know who your enemy is, but at the same time, I think it would be cool if that enemy changed or was dynamic. And in this game, we were trying to build a relationship system, meaning we're going to have different races. I'm going to read this paragraph because it makes a little bit more sense, because I wrote it out, be able to explain a little bit better. So we're going to have a main antagonist who is the enemy, but that's where things change a little bit. So the main antagonist is part of the main story that you're sort of heading towards to defeat. But instead of just having these predetermined enemy characters, the world will be filled with NPCs who each belong to a specific race type. So everyone in the player's race are friendly to that player. In this case, it's going to be elves. So the player will be fine with elves. They can interact with elves. But if the player makes a wrong choice or offends another race, then that race will become an enemy to the player, and to a certain degree. Like, not everyone in the race will be an enemy, but for the majority of that race, like orgs or something, will all of a sudden not like the player. And then anytime you come across an org, they will want to attack you. Now, it's going to be possible to befriend that race again using side quests or some mechanic in the game to say, well, the orgs are attacking me, let's try and get them on my side again, and all of a sudden the orgs will stop being enemies. But every choice you make in the game will cause some race, hopefully, to decide that they don't want you to complete whatever you're doing, and they're going to try and stop you. So that's going to add a very dynamic feel to the game. So anytime you play the game, you could have different types of enemies based on your decisions, and I think that is really, really interesting way of playing out the dynamic aspect of an RPG. So I'd really love to try and get that to work, and I think I have an idea of how to do that. One of the things next here is sort of tied to the rest that I've already talked about is choices matter. A lot of times in RPGs, they'll try and do these choice systems where you say, oh, should you kill this person or this person? But it doesn't really matter what choice you make because you never see those characters again. So, like, why did you even make that choice? So I want each choice to actually mean something, and I think tying back to the enemies being races that you may have offended through one of your choices. That's really cool because any choice you make will affect your relationship status with the different character races out there, like orgs, humans, and then all the different ones. So that is sort of the whole thing about choices matter. And if at any time a choice in the game does not affect the game in any way, that choice should be removed from the game. There's no point to it, and it's just annoying to have those things cluttering the game. So that is what choices matter mean. The last thing on this list is collectibles. So in the game, a lot of games out there you can collect like coins, gems, or hearts for your health and stuff like that. This game's going to be a little bit different. It's your collectible item is going to be a main collectible, which is a type of plant. And that plant is going to be used for your health or making healing potions. So the main character in this game is a herbalist, which back in this era was sort of like the main doctor of the people, right? Like, so they were able to take the natural growing plants around and combine those into different types of medicine, which then was used to help heal people. So obviously they weren't that great at it back then, but essentially that's what a herbalist was doing back then. So this character, who is a master herbalist, knows how to manipulate the plant to both heal himself and create potions that he can give and trade to other NPCs to help heal them, or in certain circumstances, like complete a quest that way. So another part of the collectibles is that's sort of the main one, so it fits the character use. But another thing we're thinking of is having a collectible throughout the world, such as wood, coal, iron, diamond, and emerald. Those are just some basic ones. And different types of NPCs may require those materials, and in order to get them from you, they're willing to trade you something. So we had one idea for trading a librarian might trade you a book that has information on a particular enemy that you're fighting. But that librarian, in order to give you that book, he or she wants something in return, like maybe she wants some diamonds for the book. So if you found some diamonds on your scavenging, then you can trade those diamonds for this book, which is going to help you. Now, none of that is actually required probably to help. Maybe some of it is, maybe some of it isn't. We're not sure yet, but that is sort of a mechanic that we want for collectibles. So there's actually a purpose for the collectible, not just, hey, I got 1,000 diamonds, how good am I? you actually are collecting them for a reason. You don't have to collect them at all. There's no real point to it. If you don't want to trade with anybody, then you don't need to go out looking for them. But it is sort of a cool way of using collectibles throughout the game and in an RPG type fashion. This also brings up in-game in-app purchases, which might be cool because if we want to give this game away for free, it would be nice to be able to maintain the game in the future by making a little bit of money off of it, and that is an area which in-app purchases would work. So you could buy these different elements to be able to trade them into the different NPCs and types and things like that. And I think there's no way that the in-app purchases would be for anything related to succeeding in the game. Like the only way to defeat that boss is if you have this weapon, and you can collect 1,000 days of scavenging to collect that weapon's minerals, or you can buy it. That doesn't make sense. I don't like that kind of stuff. So this is strictly for the bonus things, like the bonus parts of the game, where you can buy these materials that can help you trade or whatever in the future. So just an idea. That's one spot where we could help make some money if we want to give this game away for free. Now I get in. That's sort of the design. The entire game in one page on what we want to accomplish, like the feel of the game, what the RPG should be. That's sort of it right there. The game design document, this is for me as a development to-do list. I have this chart here that's a typical game structure. It's not really a game architecture, it's more of just the game structure of this RPG type game or JRPG or whatever you want to do. So this is sort of a to-do list of things that I think we should need, as well as a few extras specific to our game. So I have the save load, this is all going through the boxes here, but save load, the stat levels for the character, like all the different ways to progress as a character, an inventory system, a tile map, level design, a combat system for fighting, triggers and interactables for signs, chests, and things like that, and save points. Cutscenes manager for managing the cutscenes for progressing the story along. A state manager for just managing the state of the game, which is a pretty basic thing that every game has. And specific to this game, I want to have a relationship management system for keeping track of the main character's relationships to all the other NPCs out there, whether it be on a person-to-person basis or on a actual race, an entire race's relationship with the main character. I think that's probably the way I'll start because it's a lot easier. And then I need a quest system. I also need a narrative and or dialogue system. An NPC trading system to use the collectibles in a neat way. And then finally on this list is an event system for an NPC behavior, and that relates to the relationship thing. So if I have a NPC's race as, say, orgs, and I offend the orgs, I need an event system to notify all the orgs out there to say, look at man, this guy just offended you, you are now enemies. So it's sort of like, some like the messenger somebody sent out on horseback and told all the orgs, this is what this guy said about you and blah blah blah, and then they don't like him anymore type of thing. So but in code speak, that's going to be called an event system, so I have to build that out for the NPC behavior. And that's essentially that. There's going to be obviously like a character, a movement, AI stuff, an AI system, which I didn't really list here because that's more of the character actions. So in character actions section, this is stuff that I need the character to actually do. So I need them to be able to move in 8 directions. That's including diagonals, but I'm only going to animate 4. But I don't want to restrict movement to 4 because it's a bit choppy. So I'll allow 8 direction movement, but with 4 animations. Attacking with changeable weapons, I want that to be able to happen with the character. I want them to be able to interact with signs, chests, and save points. So I'm going to need an interactive script for that. I want them to be able to pick up items if an item is able to be picked up. I want them to be able to pick up that or carry that picked up item and throw that picked up item. Okay, so all those things, which I pretty much have built already, as well as the interacting stuff I pretty much have built already, and the attacking and moving. So a lot of this stuff is sort of started. I want to be able to push objects. That'll help solve puzzles or clear paths, and just a neat mechanic to have. In a lot of RPGs that's available, so I want that in this game as a standard feature. So I haven't done anything with that yet, so that's going to be a requirement. A dialogue with the NPC, sort of started that, not really though. I want to work on that next this weekend probably. Making choices with NPC, that's going to be sort of tied into the dialogue stuff, and I've sort of done that with the cutscene dialogue. But this is also going to need to keep track of what choice the character made and have that affect relationship status. NPCs have multiple dialogue versions based on players' inventory and relationship status. So this dialogue thing I want to build this weekend where you can walk up to an NPC, and depending on the state that you are currently in for both your inventory and relationship status with that character, they're going to tell you something based on that information. And that they're going to have a list of a bunch of different types of dialogue to talk to you about, and they're only going to tell you what relates to your current status, inventory, relationship status type thing. So that's going to be a neat thing I'm going to build into the dialogue system. A little bit tricky, but I have to do it, otherwise it's too plain Jane. The next thing on the list is add an item to the inventory and remove an item from inventory and a trade item with an NPC from that inventory. So that's all inventory stuff. I have that started loosely. I have an items database and I have a basic inventory for a character already started coding, but I'm going to rewrite a lot of this stuff and just organize it with a little bit tighter architecture with the MVC style and serviceable objects and things like that. I don't know how I'm going to actually break it out for the other stuff, but anyways, that's it. That's the document. I created this document today just to get everything on paper that I think is going to be needed for this game, as well as development to-do list. Obviously, the actions and all this doesn't include the AI stuff, but that's something else too. I am thinking about it. But essentially, that's the bulk of everything that needs to be done and the direction we're going in with this game. So hopefully you guys like this type of game that we're building. Let me know if any of this stuff sounds ridiculous or stupid or a waste of time. Love your input. And thank you very much for this long video. I just want to make sure I did that today, and it's 2-week mark. I want to make sure everything's down on paper and we're heading in a proper direction here, real organized, and we're not wasting time. It's sort of the theme of these 2 weeks is not stepping on my own feet type thing. So thanks for watching. Day 14's done. Subscribe if you want to follow along with the progress of this game. Like and comment, please, if you have any comments or questions or concerns or, whatever. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.